Tonight, the shocking pictures of a blood-covered Oscar Pistorius in the aftermath of the shooting, and the troubling contradictions at the heart of the police case.
I say amazing.
What is amazing?
Because he didn't went up there. He was not before me on the crime scene.
Yes.
Good evening from the High Court in Pretoria, where a senior police officer has been forced to admit to a series of apparent mistakes in the police investigation into Oscar Pistorius. Colonel Scumbi van Rensburg faced a day of intense questioning from defence lawyer Barry Roux about the police's actions in the aftermath of Reeva Steenkamp's death. The court heard of serious contradictions in the officers' accounts of that fateful night, as well as apparent blunders in their handling of the crime scene. But the day began with graphic images of the athlete in the hours after he shot his model girlfriend dead. Paul Harrison reports.
It is by now a familiar image. Clean-shaven, sharp suit and tie, crisp white shirt. Oscar Pistorius arrived at court at the end of a second week of witness testimonies. But it was an image of a very different kind the Pretoria courtroom would see for the first time, as the Olympian himself became the evidence.
That is the damage which was caused by the projector which went through.
Dealing first with photographs from the toilet where Oscar Pistorius shot Reeva Steenkamp, Colonel van Rensburg described photographs of the accused taken moments after he'd carried his model girlfriend downstairs.
Van die kombuis geskuif is na die garage toe.
This photo was taken after the accused was shifted from the kitchen to the garage.
On that photo, the accused had no shirt on, and that's how you found him.
I found him without the shirt, with the shorts on, with his artificial lumps on. But there was more blood on the front part of his body.
Remember the blood there?
Onthou jy die bloed wat daar gewees het?
Dit is reg, Edith.
That is correct, my lady. The amount of blood which is depicted on his body as on the photo was as much the same amount which was on the front part of his body.
Oscar Pistorius denies murdering Reeva Steenkamp, instead maintaining he thought an intruder had broken in. Soon after Colonel van Rensburg had arrived at the house, Pistorius ruled out anyone else's involvement.
I asked the accused as to whether they were alone inside the house. He responded by saying yes, they were alone. I told him that in light of what I saw at the top, referring to the crime scene, that I take him as I observe him as a suspect at that stage. I warned him according to his rights, with the difference that I said to him that I wasn't arresting him at that stage. I requested him to remain present at all times at the scene.
With the police photographer having arrived at the scene, aside from the accused, photographs of his dead girlfriend were also taken.
Die oorledene uitgewys.
My lady, we first pointed out the deceased to the photographer, then took photos of the deceased. Warrant Officer Hilton Botha and the photographer turned the deceased body over. Photos of her were also taken, my lady.
Van Rensburg says he earlier inspected the couple's bedroom and the scene with a colleague, Detective Hilton Botha. It was then, he says, he noticed valuable items belonging to the accused.
I would now like us to deal with the watches. Do you know what happened to the watches?
Upon arrival, when I was proceeding to the main bedroom, I saw those watches. I then told myself that those watches were tempting to ask any other person, seeing that they were expensive watches.
Switching to English to ensure there was no misunderstanding, the officer then told the court, in addition to Pistorius' sister asking to take one of the 8 expensive watches away, in a space of just a few minutes, a second one had been taken.
While we were all packing up and getting our things ready to leave, Warrant Officer van Staden came into the garage. And he mentioned that one of these watches is missing. And I said, what do you mean? What other watch? There's one missing because you handed it over. He said, no, there's another one that is missing. I said, but I can't believe it. We were just there. How can this watch be gone? Immediately, I give instruction that everybody had to come to the garage. We body searched everyone. We searched all the bags each and every forensic expert had on his possession. We searched the whole house through again back to the main bedroom. We even searched the vehicles of all the forensic experts on the scene without giving anyone permission to leave. We couldn't find the watch.
Did you inform the accused about this watch?
My lady, when I visited the accused, I first told him that he must remember he's a celebrity. There's a lot of memorial and stuff that people wants to take and wants to possess because he's a celebrity.
Presumably to steal the thunder from Pistorius' legal team, prosecutor Gerry Nel asked the witness about an incident in the bathroom involving the accused's gun and the ballistic expert.
So I turned my head to where the firearm has been cocked to see what is going on. And at that particular moment, the ballistic expert was having the firearm in his hand without gloves. He already took out the magazine was in his hand, and the firearm was in his hand. So I stopped immediately talking and I asked him, "What are you doing?" And then he turned his head to me and he was looking, and then he realized there was no hand gloves on. And then he said, "Sorry." And he put the magazine back in the firearm and he put it back on the carpet. And then he took out his hand gloves from his pocket that was hanging out here in the breast pocket, and he put it on his hands, and then again he took the firearm and he made it safe.
Colonel van Rensburg then alluded to the media's heightened interest in one particular exhibit, the toilet door. He described its subsequent removal and unorthodox storage.
After we received information that some of the newspapers is willing to pay between 30 and 60,000 for a photo of the door. Also, that was not the main reason, but we realized we had to do something very quick because it could happen that someone's going to take a photo. Already we had the experience of a missing watch. So we decided immediately to take down the door. The door is the most valuable evidence exhibit on the scene because it indicated the shooting holes. The disease was behind this door when she was shot. We couldn't find anything that really fit, the door can fit in, because it's a very big door, as you see. So we made arrangements that we take body bags. So they took down the door, my lady, and they also sealed it in the evidence bag with seals. But as we're carrying this door, my lady, the loose panels of the door was shifting, and we was afraid that it's going to cut the body bag because it's a plastic body bag. So I signed for the exhibit and I took it to my office where I kept it. Now, I know someone will ask the question, why do you take it to the office? The first thing about the office is it's secure. I had the only person that had a key to the room. It was kept there in my office the whole weekend.
The witness said the bag was only unsealed once, while the door was stored in his office, when Pistorius' legal team requested access to take photographs.
Me and Warrant Officer Botha, Mr. Volmerans of the forensics of the defense, and the photographer, I can't remember now his name, we open the seal, we break the seal, as it was sealed when we received it. We open and we let it, the door stand upright, and we open as far as possible that they can see it. There were splinters, small splinters that was falling out at one corner, so I picked that splinters up with hand gloves and I put it back on the body bag.
In his cross-examination, Barry Roux attempted to undermine the police investigation, questioning former detective Hilton Botha's conduct. He'd resigned from the force last year. Roux wanted to know where he was at all times during the initial hours.
You did not see Mr. Hilton Botha disturbing anything in the box. Still with Hilton Botha. You did not see what he was doing inside. You do not know where Mr. Hilton Botha was at that time. Where was Mr. Botha at that time? And where was Mr. Botha?
He was with him. He was with us and he was assisting the photograph.
So he had then joined you by then?
That is correct.
And despite Van Rensburg's insistence, no one other than he, Hilton Botha and the photographer had gone upstairs before the forensic team arrived. Roo sought to prove otherwise by reading a statement provided by another officer.
I want to read a second part of his statement. It's paragraph 4. I proceeded to the upper building. Where I noticed droplets of blood come from the upper building upstairs.
Amazing. I say amazing.
What is amazing?
Because he didn't went up there. He was not before me on the crime scene.
Coming up, Colonel Van Rensburg admits his powers of observation are a bit average as he fails a spot the difference test from Barry Roo. Welcome back to Pretoria and the continuing trial of Oscar Pistorius for the murder of his girlfriend. There was only one witness today, Colonel Scumbi Van Rensburg, and he's had an uncomfortable time in the witness box under close scrutiny from Barry Roo. In particular, he faced a series of questions about his own competence and whether police had contaminated the crime scene on Valentine's Day last year.
Would that represent the sealing of the door?
That is correct, lady.
Can you specifically remember that?
That is correct, lady.
It accords with your memory?
That is correct. We sealed it with a forensic seal,
Yes.
and we locked it.
What is it that you see there?
That is correct. That was what you did.
That's on the same day. It still accords with your memory?
That's correct, yes.
That's how you left it?
Yes.
How do you feel about your ability to observe?
My ability to observe. Let's say, I attended a lot of crime scenes. Maybe a bit average.
What you did not pick up, that there was a difference in sealing between the two photos. You were satisfied that it was the same. That's why I specifically asked you the question. You did not pick it up. That's what I put to you. Will you accept that? I can take you back to it and show you all the difference.
Back? Yes, please. What? Yes, I see that. There's less crosses. There is a difference.
Look at
I
it.
see that.
Is the sealing the same?
No, it's not the same.
It's quite different.
Quite different.
You did not pick it up.
No, I didn't pick it up.
It's not to spot the difference. It's just the photo of the white cell phone. Help me as in, what is it that the photo and what should it portray?
The first entering of the scene, the cell phone was covered. It was not visible like this. So I didn't see the white one at first.
I understand that. I'm making a different point. I say when you look at that photo, that could not have been the scene that you saw.
When I first entered. That's correct.
We're trying to find out when can we rely on a scene photo as a true reflection and when is it changed?
The first photos taken of the scene, that is the most important photos of all the photos. If there was photos taken afterwards like this one, it doesn't indicate where the cell phone was. It indicated actually when the cell phone was discovered.
It says, photo taken, cell phone. I would have thought it should say, cell phone open to be visible. To give a fair reflection, not so?
I agree, my lady.
Can you see what's on the back, but for the tattooing, on the back of Mr. Pistorius?
Yeah, that was
Kinesio tape.
red tape for injuries. You normally.
Did you see it that evening?
That's
Did you ask?
correct, my lady.
That morning?
That was there, man.
And why I'm asking you, because I see that Mr. Botha was kind enough to give interviews, and he was talking about the bloody shirt of Mr. Pistorius that morning that he had on. What do you say about that?
No, my lady, there was no bloody shirt. He was bare.
Was he all the time without the shirt on?
Without the shirt.
Who is that?
That was me,
You.
my lady.
What are you doing, Colonel?
We was looking at the linkies of the cable of the fan.
Mr. Pistorius that morning brought the fans in, but they were working. And what we're trying to establish is who interfered with the fans.
The fan was off. When I'm talking about the fan, I'm talking about this metallic silver fan was off. The black fan that was standing in the corner, he was unplugged. So that was not interference with any plug. That is part and parcel of the further investigation.
By the way, when I showed you the photo, the image photo, to ask you if you could see anything different, you said that the fan was moved. You remember?
That's correct.
Do you know who moved the fan?
No, I don't know who moved the fan. But again, that was photo taken after.
Yes, I understand. But we want the scene to be preserved. We try to find out who moved the fan.
My lady, the scene was preserved for the original photos that were taken, and as soon as that original photo was taken, the investigation started. So then you move stuff to complete your investigation.
Mr. Van Rensburg, I'm told that you're the last witness today, and I must see if we can use up the court time till 3 o'clock. So I'm just trying to find some more questions. I have no further questions.
In response to a question by Mr. Roux, you indicated that there's certain things that you focus on and that you would remember.
But when I entered this room, the bed that was lying there, with his face down,
You focused on that?
that was one thing that I focused on.
Yes.
The next thing that I focused on was the firearm that was lying on this small carpet, bathroom carpet. Next to him, a cell phone, or at that stage, 2 cell phones.
You focused on that?
I focused on that. And then the blood. If you would have asked me if there was towels that I can remember, like the color of this towels, I didn't focus on the color on that.
But the fact that there were towels, was that the focus?
There was towels, but there was. Now I'm saying towels. I will not even say towels. I will say there was something. It can even be clothing. Because also on this on this scene, I focus on the firearm and the status of the firearm.
Good.
That was also very important for me. I saw all the blood and the stuff lying on the floor. As I indicated, in the back of my mind, there should be an intruder somewhere. Or we have to look for the intruder, or a place where he can come into the house. And then immediately my eyes focus on the window. And as I indicated in my first testimony, there was no burglary proof. So that was already a concern for me.
So, a difficult day for the police, who are facing accusations of incompetence from the defence. Joining me now to discuss the day's courtroom testimony are forensics expert Jens Brits, who was formerly a police officer, and South African journalist Kathy Mokhlakalana. Jens, to you first. You're a former police officer, as I've just said. What's it been like for you to watch those prosecution witnesses from the police being given such a hard time by the defence?
It was quite a disturbing piece to hear that evidence were handled without gloves. And the problem is that although people might think it's not such an important aspect that the person didn't wear gloves, because there's no question who fired the shots. But the problem comes in, this is a mistake, forensics 101. You wear gloves on a crime scene, and the question which will be asked is, if you missed that, what else did you miss? And I think that puts a big question mark around the whole forensic investigation of the police service in this case.
Well, there was another issue, wasn't there, about the watches? It appears that during that police investigation, 1 or maybe 2 watches were stolen, went missing at least.
That's another concern, you know. If a watch is stolen while there's only forensic examiners and the crime scene officer on the scene, once again, there's a big question mark on what else happened. So I think they're going to have a difficult time explaining that.
I mean, it's fascinating to watch the defence giving the police witnesses such a hard time and is discrediting them to a degree. But how important is it in this case? Because isn't this all about the intention of Oscar Pistorius? Does it matter if the police investigation wasn't as good as it should be?
The main thing is that the forensic specialist, he must present himself to court as a reliable person, a person that knows his work. He must convince the court that he collected the exhibits on the crime scene. He made an opinion, and the court relies on his opinion. And I think that what the defense is trying to do is say to the court, but listen, this is all the mistakes made. Don't rely on this person's opinion that he gave to the court. He's misleading the court. And I think that's the angle of attack on the forensic examiners.
Kathy, 2 weeks into this trial, is South Africa still gripped by it?
Oh, I'd say absolutely. You know, I just take a walk down the street and ordinary people walk up to me and they ask, you know, so what do you think is going to happen, or what's your take on the case? But I think when you actually look at what's being said on international media, and certainly through conversations that people are having, more and more people deciding now to take an actual stance on whether or not they believe Oscar Pistorius is guilty in this case.
And what do you think people do feel at this stage? Who's ahead?
Well, you know, I think it's always, you know, competing views. Oscar does have his own fan base and support base that still continues to stand by him, and you'll always see them defend him, particularly when you're on social networks. But I think also from everything, from the evidence that is being put in court, particularly by the experts that the state has been calling on, a lot of people now actually saying, well, actually maybe he might not be so innocent anymore. But it's interesting the fact that South Africans have moved from this kind of neutral base to now saying, hey, we actually have an opinion about what this case all means.
Quick answer, Tunes. Who's ahead, defence or prosecution?
I think it's at this stage a tie, but
there's a long way to go.
It's a long way to go.
Okay, Tunes, Kathy, thank you for your thoughts.
Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. That's it for today. But remember, we'll bring you continuing coverage of the trial on Sky News from 7:30 in the morning, and of course our special programme at 9:30 every night.